It's Joe Dante time, everyone! Joe Dante is one of those directors who has carved out an interesting body of work, and watching his filmography, it's not difficult to figure out his influences and what drove him to become a filmmaker. In particular, Looney Tunes, monster movies, and that jolt that comes from shocking the audience with something unexpected. Matinee definitely captures his love for the latter two, as the film is essentially a nostalgic love letter to his younger days, when he would take in a showing of the latest monster B-movie, and the days when movie theaters only had one screen. With Matinee, Dante seems to delight in recreating the B-movie style. The fictional, in-universe monster movie Mant is shot and acted in a way that brings to mind the horror films of the era, right down to using the correct style of font. Adding to the amusement is when we see the shook-up shopping cart, a parody of live-action Disney films like The Love Bug. Also, keep a lookout for Naomi Watts in one of her earliest film roles. And then, of course, completing the homage is John Goodman as producer Lawrence Wolsey, who was directly based on William Castle, right down to frequently chomping on a cigar and coming up with all sorts of wild gimmicks for his movies. Goodman plays the role with such an enthusiasm for entertaining the audience and giving them an extra thrill. He's a frequent presence in the film, but he's not the central character. The focus of Matinee is specifically on a group of young movie fans. The first two acts of the film mostly consist of getting to know these characters, their lives in Key West, and how they cope with the potential nuclear threat. While the movie is set in an almost Leave It to Beaver-esque depiction of the 60s, that fear that a lot of people felt at the time is shown. It's a credit to the humor, the acting, and how well paced the movie is that's not a frustrating wait for the third act when Mant is finally premiered. The lead kid, Gene, definitely seems inspired by Dante himself, with his devouring of monster magazines and knowledge of even the bit players in a B-movie. The various subplots collide really well in the third act when we see Mant, and you can just imagine Joe Dante and the screenwriter Charles Haas having the time of their life putting those scenes together. So many of Dante's work feels like he's making his childhood dreams a reality. It adds the ultimate charm of Matinee, and it being a tribute to the old movie houses of the day. There's a lovely scene where we get a steady cam shot of the movie theater, with a camera moving through the lobby and up the stairs and into the screening room. For older viewers, I imagine scenes like that are particularly special as they bring them back to the day long before the multiplex, and movie theaters would just have one screen, maybe two if they were lucky. If there's a major issue I have with Matinee, I'm a little uncomfortable with the storyline involving the greaser and his romantic interest in Roxanne from a Goofy movie. No, really, look it up. The issue is he looks 25 and she looks 13, which creates a certain ickiness factor there. Despite that, Matinee is a charming little wonder, and like many of Joe Dante's movies, post-Gremlins, didn't seem to attract much of an audience, and I don't think Universal itself seemed to have much faith in its potential success. But, like Dante's other work, it has definitely grown a small following in the years since. Shout Factory recently released a Blu-ray version of Matinee, which apparently includes multiple interviews of the filmmakers and even includes a version of Mant. I imagine that's a disc worth picking up, and I do highly recommend giving this one a watch.